Lights up bright, dope, Campbell Stadium is alive. Seminoles rise and fight to survive. Helmet gleam under that blazing sun. Florida State where champions run. Seminole sideline 365. Feel the roar, we're coming alive. Garnet and gold in the battle we thrive. This is our house where legends arrive. Turf torn up under Seminole feet. The war chant pounds to the heart's own beat. Chop through the noise like a storm in the sky. 2025, we reach for the high. Seminole sideline 365.
Welcome back to Seminole Sideline 365. My name is KB. With me, as always, is the old man. And tonight we got a good amount to talk about. Latest on FSU departures, who they may be targeting in the transfer portal as people start popping in and players start popping out of Florida State's roster. So we'll get you updated on that, what you may have missed, and discussion around who may be key losses, and also who does Florida State need to start thinking about retaining if they haven't already, which I'm sure they're having those discussions. We'll talk about some of the official new coaches who have landed on this staff. Are they good picks for Mike Norvell, bad picks for Mike Norvell? The old man's got some insights on that. And then obviously we have some major news around college football, around Michigan, and their head coach and their athletic program. So, and how could that affect Florida State? So we'll talk about that, and we'll see, could there be some potential recruits that Florida State continues some conversations with? Could that help them in this upcoming season? We'll go into that. We'll dive deeper in that. And if there's any topics you guys want to discuss or want us to talk about, feel free to put those in the chat and bring those to our attention, and we'll try to dive into those. But before we get started, old man, is there anything you want to bring up or anything that's happened since we last spoke?
No, it's good. We're on, a couple times this week, right? Twice for us.
Monday, yeah.
Hey, yeah, we're gaining steam, buddy. We're gaining steam. You got to grind it out. You got to punch it out. You got to keep moving. You grind it out. We grind out one subscriber at a time, and followers to our family here. And no, everything's good. It's been beautiful down here, actually. Was out walking along the golf courses today. Didn't play golf today, but just beautiful. I mean, now tonight it'll drop down into the 40s, which is kind of wild, but then in the weekend it'll be back up in the mid 70s. I'm sitting here in shorts, a t-shirt. A lot of people are out playing golf today. It's beautiful. I say October, November, December are just beautiful months. January may get a little bit cooler, but just beautiful weather down here. So just enjoying it, like everybody else, hustling around for the holiday season like you are, and getting things set up, So, everything's good. But listen, I do my homework, trying to monitor across the channels. I know you and I shoot some stuff back and forth. I mean, there's some stuff out there. But one thing I did do is I blocked any of these social media channels that are those made up ones. Have you seen what is it, On 3? And then there's one out on Twitter. It's called NO3.
Troll channels.
They're troll channels. So I thought some of those were funny some time ago, but I have blocked all of those.
Because you got tricked. That's why you blocked them.
No.
Yeah, you used to send me some stuff.
You call me.
Yeah.
Hey, as they say, you got to dig a little bit deeper. Yeah. And even if you use any AI to pull up some quick stats, you really have to look at those, because some of that stuff is not correct.
It's not.
So I try to look at across the things. I listen to a lot of different guys, and I heard one of the FSU major media sites say this week, and I think it just kind of flew out of his mouth, and he will go unnamed, but he goes, yeah, if you want anything breaking on FSU, you really should go to one of the national hosts, one of the national guys. And I'm going like, well, that's true, but I'm not sure I'd say that if I was running as much program as they run. But it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Kind of funny. But otherwise, everything's good. How about you, man?
All good. All good. Let's
Okay.
dive right into it. What do you
Dive
want to
into
start
it.
with first? What do you want to start
Michigan.
with?
You got to start with the Michigan flame out. I mean, nobody saw this coming.
Yeah.
Nobody saw this coming. And I think we have to talk about that situation of what is going on in Michigan and what are they going to do about it?
So I think some of the latest on it, and like I said, this is all alleged because not every, there's still bits and pieces coming out. The first
we
thing
don't have any direct sourcing or anything, so we're just taking it from the media.
well, and still developing as of today, and it broke last night. But this is the latest that's come out, is that the athletic director, because it was rumored earlier today, the athletic director was ousted. But it's been stated that Ward Manuel is still the athletic director, and he will assist in beginning the search for the next coach. So the board members, officials confirmed in the call today that he is still on board.
Well, where did that story then come from about him being ousted? Was that just reportedly or something?
It was national media I saw was reporting that he was getting ousted, and now it seems like that's been retracted, and that he is in fact staying, and he is going to be helping with the next head coaching search. Now, I think that may have started because of how this all came to be, and that how this started. And I think the reason why they think he may have been going and why that he may have been the next one to go in terms of after Sharon Moore is that because this has been a situation that seems like has been bubbling since potentially October, what people are saying in terms of the infidelity and having an inappropriate relationship with a staff member, and things of that nature. But apparently Sharon Moore has been dealing with these mental health issues along with the actions he's been supposedly doing, and that when he was fired, the AD did it alone. He didn't bring in an HR representative, and as you can see here, there was no security present.
God.
So the way he conducted that, knowing the mental health issues, knowing this could go sideways, he didn't set himself up to do this the right way. He didn't have corporate, just like in any business. If you get HR involved, you do this the right way, you do it by the book, you have all the legal language, you protect yourself, and you protect the person if you think they're going to go and hurt themselves, or they're one thing away from hurting themselves or hurting others. And so that's why I think after this report, it was then came out that they could be getting rid of the manual because he could be a liability for the university as well. This could open up the university for a lawsuit by Sharon Moore, potentially. It could open it up buyout.
Any victims,
correct. And the staff member that's involved with this, the administrative staff member. And then also, could this be a claim on his buyout? Did he in fact not get fired with cause, or how could that affect that case?
Yeah,
I
expect you're right. There will be some lawsuits involved, and then obviously Sharon Moore. This is a tragic situation. This guy's a young guy. He's like 38 years old, 39 years old. He's got a hell of a coaching resume, and I know they didn't have a great year this past
year. 93. They're 93.
Yeah. Oh well. Yeah. We'd take 93, wouldn't we? At Florida State. Yeah. We take 93. Most teams would take 93.
And he wasn't fired for performance. He was fired for his own actions.
No, I'm not saying
that. His own actions.
That's what I'm saying. This guy, this young man, the young guy, young coach, who's at the pinnacle. Not too many people get to coach at Michigan.
No.
And he got there. And, his career is all in front of him, whether it's at Michigan or somewhere else. This guy would be much sought after, I believe. So, unfortunately, it doesn't take much of a tragic incident involving his family and some other person that doesn't matter. We're not going to get into names and pictures and all that. It doesn't matter because we're just taking what the media gives us. It's very unfortunate, and it has ruined his entire career in the football arena. Likely, I mean, highly likely. His odds of coming back from this, he's still young, but he's really going to have to find a way for someone to give him a new start, and hopefully they will. But tough situation. Not only for him, But for the victim, let's talk about victim and victims. This could be a number of victims here, family victims or outside victims. You can't forget about them. So it's a
I think
mess. And then you have the University of Michigan. I mean, it's just a mess.
Yeah, there's many victims, and obviously much of this could have easily been averted by personal actions, personal accountability, and like you said, the first victims I say is his family, his kids. Those are the main victims I look at. I think are being not focused on. Obviously, adults took actions. They made decisions, and they led to this. And they led to this. Thankfully, nobody did hurt themselves. Nobody did physically hurt themselves, hurt others.
Right. And himself, he didn't hurt himself.
Yeah,
so
correct.
That's a good thing.
And this, you can come back from this. Now, everyone loves hating on others. Everyone loves to talk about this and is going to glorify and talk, make fun of this, and then there'll be memes of this forever. But then everyone does love a comeback story. So if he does rectify this, if he does make amends, and he goes, and people will eventually cheer on the comeback from this. I mean, Michael Vick came back from electrocuting dogs. Right? Like Michael Vick came back from dog fighting to now be coaching again. And being on Fox, he was doing commentate. If you can, people love the downfall, but they also love the comeback. So that's what everyone needs to think about is if he, you think you're going to be fired you think you're going to be fired the next day and from your dream job, don't make it even worse. You can come back from things. You can come back from something like this. Just don't take it to the extreme. You made a mistake, take accountability, because you can always rectify it and come back from it. But you have to pay the price eventually. You have to pay the piper.
That's a good statement. Yeah, that's a good statement. I think he's not the only one. Other, in the sporting world, people get hired and fired all the time. In various forms of life, we all get knocked down. And like you're saying, KB, you have to rise above it. It's let's give Mike Norvell the word, at least for credit, respond. You have to respond to circumstances. If you make a bad decision, take accountability for it and move forward. And maybe if he would have done that, maybe they would have forgiven him. Maybe they would have said, no, you got to go. You need to resign and so on. But now he kind of doubled down or something. The situation got out of control for him. I'm sure there were emotions flowing and it got a little bit worse. I think the criminal charges in my mind aren't going to be overwhelming. I really believe that. His punishment is going to be, he is going to be out of football for a good while. He's not going to be around college football or pro football for a while. And like you say, hopefully, maybe there'll be a comeback if this thing gets all straightened out. But it's not going to be anytime soon. These type of allegations linger, and no universities take too many chances on there. And there are other examples in college football. I was trying to think of some right now. I don't want to start throwing names out, but there are some names, and they're big names, that have gone through this type of situation. And I would bet he will either reach out to them, or some of them, because of the coaching brotherhood, maybe will reach out to him as things settle down and maybe can share some thoughts and comments.
And like I said, people love to tear you down, but they love to build you back up. But you have to give it time. And nothing was done that I know of that was career ending. No one died. No one was physically, it's bad. There's bad stuff, obviously. If family's broken, things like that. That is bad stuff. But nothing, you didn't take the most dramatic action, which almost did happen, but it got stopped, thankfully. And so he can come back from this. Hopefully everyone else involved in this can come back from it.
And generally, KB, it starts with, once the dust settles, it'll start with, and it depends, like you said, about any potential lawsuits from either side. Yeah. At some point, there has to be and there will be, he'll get a lot of requests for national interviews, the Barbara, the 60 Minutes and all this other stuff, accountability. He will have to say, I'm sorry for what I'm not saying. We don't know if he's guilty or not. We don't know.
Well,
We don't know anything. What I'm saying though,
certain things.
what I'm saying though is at some point
Yeah.
he will have to take full responsibility for what he did, and he'll have to do that on a media presence. You know
Even
what
if
I'm
it,
saying?
yeah, like you said,
PR,
even if,
PR.
yeah, have a good PR, like you said, accountability for what is true, what's
Right.
not true. But it's
Right.
easier to, like you said, wrap things up so that
And
you
do-
can
and
start
let
that
it- that's right.
transition period
That's
and get
right.
out of the spotlight as soon as possible. So, but with
Exactly.
that,
Yep.
with the head coach gone, that means players, because there is the rumor then.
And they
And-
don't know who the new head coach is going to
Well,
be at this point.
And with that, the rumor is that too, that they knew about this, Michigan did, and didn't confront him with it, and didn't fire him until
That's
after
what I
signing
heard.
day.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, the rumors
They-
are, and the rumblings are, is that they knew about this since October, and potentially before that, and let this slide until after signing day to get things locked in, and then confronted him with it, and then it kind of escalated from there. I don't think they expected the reaction.
Well, it's the same thing, KB. We talked about when FSU let Patrick Surtain go 2 days. What was it, like 2 days after signing day?
Yeah, yeah,
and so on.
yeah.
Yeah.
But but the difference with this is now the
Of
players
course,
can.
there's a big
Yeah.
difference.
I don't want to compare the two. So the difference is
no.
that with the head coach now, players now have they can't just automatically get out. They can now request the right to re-released from the commitment.
I
and
thought
they
they
can-
had the right if a
right
head
to
coach
request,
leaves.
right to request the release.
I thought they had
The university doesn't have to grant it, but from my understanding, they can request the release from there. Is my understanding. So that and they had the 12th. They didn't have an elite class, but number 12 in the country.
Yeah, that's pretty damn good.
So-
That's
so-
a good start. Yeah.
So what I looked at is, and it's interesting. The two top recruits in their class are from DC and Virginia, and that's an area that Florida State used to, when they were in their prime,
They
used
did.
to recruit very well.
They
They
did.
haven't done it very
They-
well recently.
No.
But they'll be interesting. Schools like Virginia Tech and James Franklin. Does he go after some of these kids? There's three guys that stood out
he
to me.
will.
I think he will. Depending on
he
how
will.
on their radar they were. But you can see 3 of their top 4 recruits are from the DMV area, which is very interesting. So that'll be interesting for ACC schools. But for Florida State in particular, there's 3 guys that stood out to me, and guys that they had been in contact with, offered, and who can maybe come back on the radar. Maybe they're already talking to. One was Brady Marchese. He's a receiver, 6'1". He's a guy that was on the offer list. They had offered him earlier. I think they were in the recruiting run. I don't think pursued it too long because I think Michigan locked him up pretty quickly. He signed, obviously, but he's a 4-star guy, 6'1", 185. Florida State is looking for additional weapons at receiver. They signed 1 or 2, I believe.
I think they may have to go to a portal to get a number. Their number 1 receiver.
Yeah, this guy's a top,
These guys,
national
yeah.
166. The other guy I looked at was Brady Smeagol. People are probably familiar with
quarterback.
him. This is a guy that Florida State fans really liked, but then he flipped
Yeah.
to Michigan.
Yeah.
Florida State ended up signing Jaden O'Neal, who some fans like, some fans don't like. This guy is ranked, I think, in the top. Yeah, he's not highly ranked, 27th ranked quarterback. He's from California. I don't think this is a guy you
Got
necessarily
good
need.
size.
Yeah,
Good size.
6'4". I don't necessarily think this is a kid you have to go and say, you got Jaden. I don't think either of these kids are going to be coming and play right away. I think regardless, you're probably going to go to the portal if you can get the right kid, and they've already made offers, and we'll talk about that later. So I just know this kid that was in the running that did flip eventually to Michigan, which is why you went after Jaden eventually. But this is a kid that may or may not open up his recruitment based on who depending how fast Michigan goes. And finds a new coach. So this will be something to keep an eye on potentially, but I would say there's probably less than a 50% chance that they go back and sign this kid, but they're definitely in the running for him, obviously. The next kid is a inside offensive lineman from St. John's College up here in DC. So this is a guy that I think is just interesting because, and not necessarily that Florida State has been in the running for him for a while. But this is the kid they're looking for an offensive lineman. Like I said, you may have some connections in the area. I don't. The reason too, I think, is that this could flip to an ACC partner like UVA or Virginia Tech. So I select James Franklin and Tony Elliott to go after this kid strongly. But if he's looking at ACC schools, I think Florida State may want to kick the wheels because you need offensive line. You've already lost some to the portal, some younger prospects. If you like the tape on this kid, he may open up his recruitment again. Maybe something you want to take a look at. And then the last one here is another offensive lineman, a guy out of Georgia, so closer to home. I believe a kid that you did offer during his recruitment process. You once again were in the running, but he was higher on Michigan and Alabama. 6'3", 308, so a bigger guy. Obviously, Michigan saw enough of him that they wanted to sign him. 58th ranked in the country at his position group. This is a kid I think you may definitely kick the wheels on. Like I said, you've been losing some of your younger talent right now to the portal, and in terms of offensive linemen, you'll probably lose a couple more. You need bodies, and you need to see if any of the bodies can play in year 2, even year 1. Can they be developed? And I think Herb Hand has a good eye for talent. And so I think this is one of the last kids you may look at the tape and say, is this guy worth us opening up some back channels on, and if he opens up his recruitment, or is it worth using that spot on the portal? So this is the last kid out of the Michigan class I thought maybe available to us. But yeah, anything you want to add there?
Yeah, in terms of recruitment and who's coming and who's going, I think that's what we're talking about here, right?
Yeah.
I really don't know how many of these Michigan guys they're going to get. I think any kid that is interested is probably going to have a Florida connection, that he would then decide that, yeah, I just want to come closer to home so I can have family and friends come watch me play or whatever. I'm not sure we're going to land too many Michigan kids. If we get one, I'll be surprised, to be honest. And I have nothing to back that up.
Well, do you think it's worth it? Do you think it's worth it? Like, do you think it's worth recruiting any other high school kids? Because I think this is the only one of the few situations where you'll get to.
No, I wouldn't go after any more high school kids. We signed 32. We signed 32 high school kids. I think that's plenty. You're gonna have to balance those numbers because you're definitely gonna have to go into the portal and probably, I don't know, conservatively get 20 people, get 20 players. You've got to rebuild at quarterback. You've got to probably go get a number 1 wideout because Deuce Robinson's not going to be here. I'd be shocked if he came back. You're going to have to rebuild your offensive line and quality backups there. You've got to rebuild some of your defensive line. No, there's too many positions. They're going to have to, when January 2nd comes up, which it's the 2nd through the 15th, 16th, 2nd of January through the 16th. That's when the portal opens and players can be officially in there. They'll come out on the list, and teams, I think Florida State's going to have to get very aggressive very quickly in the first week or two. And there is no second portal. In the spring, there's no second portal. The only exceptions are teams that are in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Okay, they're going to get that's normal. And if a new coach, gets assigned or one leaves, a new one gets. So, but the majority of portal this coming season for 2026 is coming up right after New Year's Day, and boom, we're going to be in it. That's going to be a very active period for Florida State. Because you cannot. How many true freshmen started for Florida State this year or last year? True freshmen, besides the Desir kids, baby, the Desir twins. One of them, Mandrell, who got great honors. Mandrell got some great honors from ACC World, and but besides him, who can you really name that has been a true starter?
Played a lot of snaps. Played a little bit. He got banged up. Yeah, he started against Alabama, so they. But
you understand my point. You understand.
Yeah, but most teams aren't playing 12 true freshmen. I mean, it's not the way it goes.
Some of the top 10 teams will start 2 or 3 freshmen sometimes.
Shamar Anwar was playing defensive back. He was playing.
He played a lot. It'd be interesting to see how he develops. But I think my point is Florida State's going to have to hit the portal very hard
Yeah.
in a number of areas.
And talking about that, let's talk about who we've lost already and how that affects who they go after.
I can handle that a little bit.
I have it right up on the screen here.
Okay. Well,
so let's talk about, So far they've lost offensive linemen, they've lost defensive linemen, they've lost a running back as of today. Take us through any big losses.
Let me tell you this.
Yeah.
I didn't spend a lot of time looking at most of the guys who say they're going to go into the portal beginning January 2nd. Most, and I'll name the ones who aren't, most are backups who did not have quality reps, did not have high frequency of quality reps. Okay. And most of them are not known to Florida State fans. You know, I mean, you can look at some of the names, but they didn't develop and they want to go play ball. I don't blame them for that, but they're going to have to find a place that's more suitable to their play. You know, an FIU, FAU, a number.
What about Jalen Lucas? What about Jalen Lucas?
I was getting ready to say that. The ones that I did take note of is Jalen Lucas. I don't think he's going to be a big loss. He didn't really overly, I wouldn't say he was overly effective this year. Maybe not his fault, but he didn't do much on punt returns or kick returns. That's why I say he didn't do much. Okay, much, I'm including those without trying to beat him up. And they didn't use him that much in Gus's offense that he can't be replaced. So I noted his name, obviously, because he has played more snaps than most of these people on here.
Yeah.
The next one that I wrote down is Edwin Joseph. Now, he's the key loss, I think, in this group.
Is he, though?
I
got his PFF grades up.
Wait a minute. Yeah. He's a safety. We were slim at safety. 51 tackles and 4 interceptions. All right. And 2 something here. I can't even read my note. Oh, and he's got 2 seasons left. So he has some developmental ceiling there. I think he's going to get noticed. I like his size. I think he played a hell of a lot of snaps. Okay. And not on a, kind of a inconsistent defense. And maybe his scores are inconsistent. But I think he's going to get some look to go to another team and compete. I'll be surprised if he doesn't. He's the key guy right now to date that I think is on this loss roster that, it would have been nice to keep. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Edwin Joseph, to summarize him, not terrible, not great, but not terrible. Like
you didn't have there was nobody playing ahead of him, right?
Once again, that
Earl Little Jr.
Earl Little Jr. was a good player, not great, not terrible.
Who is it? Shamar. We lost him.
The freshman, the true freshman you're talking about?
No, the guy who he was a starter and then he got buried in the depth chart this year.
I don't know.
Shimon Brown? No.
Oh, Shaheem Brown.
Shaheem.
He played some, but he was a backup.
I bet he didn't play as much as Joseph.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, it's a loss because he probably would be playing as a starter like he was this year. But I don't think he's not. If you really want to get better, then you need to recruit over Edwin. Edwin's an average to average plus, I believe, defensive back in ACC.
But
he's
of
not
safeties,
dynamic. He's not.
No, but in terms of safeties for Florida State, you had Little and you had him. Who else?
But once again, what? One of 2 things happened. They either had the exit interview and they said, "Hey, Edwin, we're moving on. We're going to go find somebody else." Or Edwin's like, okay, no, I believe in myself. I'm going to go somewhere else. So one of those 2 things happened. We don't know how that conversation went in the exit interview. Do I think it's a loss only if you can't replace him with something better? And do I think you could find something better? Yes, but you have to pay for that. And I don't know. Also, we don't know how much Edwin was asking for. Was he asking just for like all ACC?
I think so.
Money?
I think
I don't think he's an all ACC player because he's not. He's not an all ACC player.
I think he's trying to market the 51 tackles, which is nothing.
He's not an all ACC player though. I don't give a shit if he has that many tackles. He's not an all ACC player.
Okay. I'm just saying.
Are we?
I think he's trying to market the totals of 51 tackles and 4 interceptions in 2 seasons to play.
He's an average defensive back in the ACC.
Listen, would he be welcome back at Florida State if he doesn't do well in the portal? Sure, he would be. I doubt they would not. I doubt they
Oh
would
yeah,
say no.
I,
So
I once
why
again, he's
not test the
serviceable.
portal? Why not test the portal? You have nothing to lose.
No, you
There's
don't.
no risk
He
in
has nothing to
testing
lose.
the portal.
He has
We
nothing to lose
saw
because
we saw we saw Biscuit do that. You know, they invited him back after a season of play.
no,
So
he has nothing to lose, absolutely. But I don't think you're. I do think he's replaceable. Now
well, everybody's
it's better to
replaceable.
retain than
Everybody's
replace.
replaceable.
It's let me finish.
Everybody's
It's easier, like we say this in business with customers. It's better to retain than replace because it costs more to replace a customer than to
I
retain.
agree.
And
I
so it's
agree.
just like with players. You rather retain a decent to good player than have to go out and replace them with another one. It costs more. So if you could, yeah, you'd rather keep him and then try to add to your room than try to, yeah, have him leave and then you have to go replace him and then maybe try to find another one too. That's better. So yeah, I'll agree with you that it does
Okay.
hurt, but not that I think he's an elite
Okay,
player
no,
that
no,
was like game
and I don't
changing.
disagree with you in there. I'm just saying on the list to date,
Yeah,
that's
he's
the
biggest.
main name.
Yeah, I
He's the
agree.
biggest loss. The rest,
agree.
most people don't even know who the hell they are.
Willie
Okay,
Suarez, he's gone.
Swore, yeah, yeah. Again, not.
And that's
a
the thing that's so stupid when on 3 or Noles 24/7 messages out on Twitter.
Well, they're
So and so is Willie Suarez has left the team and he's entering.
no.
The
That's
portal.
just a general announcement they put out. That's all. And there's guys on X, even Pete Tham, I don't know if it's Pete Thamel, who I respect. And if I'm looking for
Pete
information,
Thamel ain't doing walk-on announcements. I can guarantee that.
No. There's somebody that all they do is put out every portal. Guy could be coming out from the Delaware state and it's out there, so on and so on and so on. So what I'm saying is losses to date, it would be Edwin Joseph, Jalen Lucas, and Patrick Surtain. Those are the ones to date that come to mind that left this team. Mainly, I think Surtain, I would rank him the biggest loss. I like the guy. I thought he did well. Now let's go to incoming. Okay, incoming. Now,
So
since
you
I
wanna talk about
mentioned, go ahead.
I was gonna say, you want to talk about the running backs coach since that is.
Well, that's where I'm going. I've got some of these coaches. Let me say this: the first guy I think we should talk about, I just said about Patrick Surtain, is I did a little bit of study and research on the new cornerbacks coach. Now, I don't know if it's official or not, but it looks pretty damn official. You know, what comes out as I've never seen an SIO or a sports information office like Florida State's is so slow in getting stuff out, I mean, but and I'm not saying it's not out now. I don't know, it could be. But cornerbacks coach coming in is Brandon Harris. Brandon Harris. Now, he was an All-American at Miami, okay? He was an All-American at Miami. He played several years in the NFL, and he also played in the Canadian Football League. He was a analyst on the first Norvell year. He was an analyst.
Yeah.
When he started his coaching, and he did some work at I believe FAU or FIU, one of those. And
FAU.
Yeah, in 2025, he coached at UCF. Now, and he was a 5-star guy coming into college when he at Miami. So when I felt bad about Surtain leaving, I thought he was a good recruiter. I cannot believe he couldn't teach kids technique. He played in the NFL. Shit. Now, I know what people say. Just because you play ball doesn't mean you're a good coach. And sometimes you can not play ball and be a great coach. Yeah. So I get all of those dynamics. I'm feeling better now about bringing in Brandon Harris. It's funny as I go through some of these to see the UCF connections. Okay, and there's some other guys on here.
Yeah.
So that's very, very interesting. But I feel better about Brandon Harris. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, and we talked about this on Monday, I think it would be hard to, if I was a coach and Mike Norvell or, was pitching me to come to the staff, and you see the buzz around the program of like, is this a dead end coach? Like, am I going to a 1-year coach? Like, But I think the more I thought about that,
But
you know,
that's
because
not his problem. He doesn't control that.
no, but you know, is there job security for me if I go work for Mike Norvell? Am I getting a 1-year deal essentially, right? Because you know, if they replace Mike Norvell with a new coach, more than likely they're not going to retain me. So am I going for 1 year? But I think the more I think about that is most of these coaches, I think they're there year to year because they may be looking for, if they do really well, they may go somewhere else. So I don't think that isn't as much a bigger deal as I think it is. No, I think it's a you know, a good, I don't say upgrade, but I think it's a good fit, a good replacement. He knows South Florida. He recruits fairly well, or he's had a history of it.
Yes,
I really
he
think
has good connections in South Florida.
exactly. So I don't think you're going to lose the recruiting piece of it as much as many people thought you would. But I think too, you know, I think people have given him credit for development, which is important. He's a young guy too, and I think more and more it's important that you get guys. And I think Sertan did that well as well. But you have to have coaches that can connect with players, especially in this era with kids these days. You got to be able to connect with them at some level, but especially when there's money.
I don't think Sertan is an old guy.
That's what I didn't think, but no, I said he didn't have issues. But anyone you brought into this, it couldn't be some 55 or 75-year-old
or some guy like me. Like me.
You got to have a guy that can talk to these kids, so they have so many damn distractions around them, but someone who can connect with them and get the message through to them. So I do think it's a good fit. I want to see more, or I need to learn more about how is his development record, his evaluation record of the guys he's brought in, because he's only 35, right? Or around there. He's a young guy, so he hasn't had a huge track history. And I obviously didn't watch a bunch of UCF tape last year to see how their defensive backs did, but obviously he does have. He was named 35 under 35.
Yeah,
by the AFCA. So I think
he's a quote rising star in the defensive, that, you know, depending who writes the article, I don't know, you know, the rising stars, you know.
And I think last year, you know, their pass defense was ranked 25th in the nation. And so not too bad. And you know, yeah. So yeah,
and we don't
it's the
know.
best you could have done in the situation, I believe. And he got a couple of guys to all Big 12 honorable mention teams. So yeah, we'll see how he does. But once again, what I've said about anyone they brought in is that they need guys who can evaluate talent, because we need to go find guys who are under the radar and not the starters on SEC teams, because they're not going to be a lot of big guys. You can't rebuild this roster by outbidding teams. You need to find guys who can evaluate talent that are at maybe G5 schools or backups at G5 schools, or even guys that are at FCS, and find those guys who are hungry, who are productive, and that can play and figure out if they can play at this level. But evaluators of talent, wherever that talent is, and be able to do that and offer those guys. And then the development piece there. But, you know, if Brandon Harris can do it, great. But we may only get 1 year to find out if that's it. And that's a tough thing with these coaches. These coaches may not be here for 3 years. So I think there's a lot of pressure on guys like Brandon Harris.
Yeah, I think I don't think these coaches, when they come in, that they're so hung up on how long am I going to be here. I think they know that it could be 1 year and done. Because if Norvell gets fired, the new guy's going to come in and clean out the staff, pretty much. And so I don't think a coach comes in. I think this is part of the business and the industry that they work in.
But think about it too.
But you work in an industry, and you know how all that goes. These guys work in this industry, you know, and they know that. I don't think it rides on their head that much.
Tony White was thought as the next great defensive coordinator at Nebraska. And then this year, we think of him as the shittiest defensive coordinator. Like 1 year redefined him in many people's eyes, right? And so that's where I think, you know, if you're set, if you come
in the coaching world, KB, that it could be looked at differently.
Yeah, you're right.
Tony White took a chance. He came into a shitty situation, and he statistically he cleaned up some things. And I don't think the industry looks at that, right?
Yeah, the fan perspective is different.
That would be like, you know, in any industry, if the whole thing collapses, it doesn't mean everybody in there led to the collapse.
There was metric improvement, like you said. There was a metric.
Well,
improvement.
even for Gus, there was metric improvement. But let me go on here now on the incoming. I just mentioned Brandon Harris. I think we could be okay there. The next one I'd like to mention is that looks like the running backs coach David Johnson. That's the other one I had leaving is running back coach David Johnson, who seemed to be a good recruiter. He was able to bring in some guys. Cam Davis, I believe he brought Cam Davis in, of course, because David Johnson had been here for a good while. And he brought in Cromar. So he brought in a number of guys that I think were decent running backs. I think he's going to Arkansas. That's David Johnson. So his replacement looks like a guy from Tulsa, and that's Cam Martin. Cam Martin, if nobody's heard of him. But where does he come from again? UCF. There's this UCF connection that's starting to emerge, not only on defense, but also on the offensive side. He has connections through Gus Malzahn. And Cam Martin, it looks like to be your guy.
He played
Cam
for
Martin.
He played for
Gus at Auburn. He got 1,000 yards. So
1,500 yards. 1,500 yards.
But what do we recognize? You and I always talk offline of something. Networking. Networking is a huge deal in football. At the this is all pro now to me. At the NFL level and at the CFB level. So these guys. That's what they do. So it looks like Cam Martin, I don't think, we'll see how he does recruiting wise, but, we don't know. He could be another one-year guy, depending on what happens in Norvell. We don't know. But I think the running back room is probably in halfway decent shape. Can Cam Martin keep guys, as you said a few minutes ago, retain talent in the running back room and then get some new guys? But I feel right now, I'm not sure we have to go out and really spend a lot of money to get another running back, but they like to have a proven guy. We really don't have a proven guy in that room right now. So what do you think of Cam Martin? Any thoughts?
I think it's a good hire. I think his track record, as it's been stated many times, he's always produced every stop he's had, and coach, he's always had 1,000-yard rusher. And that's something that Florida State hasn't had since. Did Trey Benson get 1,000 yards?
I think he
season?
did. One of his seasons.
So we haven't had it since Trey Benson's year, 2023. I think that's something that, and that's where I get confused. Was David Johnson the one subbing running backs out in the offensive scheme, or
I don't know. We're never gonna know. We're never gonna know because no one has interviewed.
No, Trey Benson did not have 1,000 yards, to clarify. 2023.
Oh, he never had 1,000 yards.
He did no. He had 990 in 2022, and he had 905 in 2023.
How did they not get that guy to 1,000 yards? You get 990. How do we not give him the ball 2 more times to get there?
Yeah, that's crazy.
That is crazy.
So, but yeah. So,
well, don't you think the key is if Cromar, leaves, that's not a good sign, for Cam Martin.
I think they're gonna do their best to retain, but I think there's a lot of running backs always going to be available. So I wouldn't cry if he leaves. I think you got to use your money wisely on key positions. I think what I like about Cam Martin is that he has really good Texas ties, and there's a lot of good talent in Texas, especially skill position players. And he has a track record that he can show to recruits that, hey, we're going to put you in the right position to succeed. You saw the 5 running back rotation. That shit's gone. I am not.
Yeah,
I know.
So you know what? That will be one of the most.
If they have concerns about that, I think with the new running backs coach, he can say, "Don't have concerns. That is not going to be running underneath me because that's not how I operate." And I operate well with Gus Malzahn, so that will not work. So I like his pipeline. I like how he operates. I like his results. And once again, he's got the credibility with the prospects he brings in. So I like that. I think it's a good hire. Another young coach who has he's young, but he's got credibility behind him, and I think he'll work well with Malzahn. And now you say the UCF ties, Auburn ties. Well, like it or not, it's good when guys know how each other operate because it runs a lot more smoothly. And so I think if you're going to keep, and it does point back to, and this could go, I may be stealing your thunder here, but it does point to the fact that Malzahn may be staying.
Oh, there's no doubt in my mind now. I would be shocked. Why would, two thoughts real quick off my mind. I don't think we'll ever understand I think one of the top mysteries of 2025 was this rotation of these running backs.
Yeah.
Who the hell orchestrated that? And I don't think it was David Johnson. That had to, you've got two guys.
I don't know.
No way. Hey, listen.
What does the running backs coach do?
Wait a minute. That's what I mean. What the hell? They teach how to run their plays, making sure they're in the right position to make sure they're not giving up the football. How they're doing their cuts, all of that stuff, blocking, things like that. There's no way he's just running guys in and out. If he is, then Gus Malzahn stamped approval on that. He doesn't have authority over Gus Malzahn, and Gus Malzahn does not have approval over Mike Norvell. Gus Malzahn and Mike Norvell are accountable for that running back rotation, period. Okay?
Yep.
And if David Johnson wanted that and he convinced those guys to do it, was David Johnson there when Trey Benson was running the football?
Pretty sure, yeah.
Okay, well, he didn't do it with Trey Benson.
Yeah.
There was something else going on here. Here's the unfortunate part. We're never going to know the true answer until somebody retires and no longer working in football, maybe Gus Malzahn, and then somebody can, when he's writing a book, address it. It's a great mystery. I've never seen anything like it.
No.
Never.
Crazy.
Never.
Yeah,
and you know what you did? You just totally pissed off everybody in that room.
Yeah, you played 9 running backs last year. It's
ridiculous.
Crazy.
They play 6 running backs in the first 2 series of a game. What are you trying to make everybody happy? It ain't going to work. That's not the nature of the beast. Look at the NFL model. They keep running a guy, and they'll bring in another guy to spur him, and then it's back to the same guy.
Yeah. You had
2
5
running backs.
You had 5 running backs play 8 games or more. 5 running backs. And if you include Tommy, you had 6 running backs play.
And the shame of it is we can't get an answer from the guys who have credentials to ask the right questions.
Now with the Gus Malzahn question, because some people have brought it up. We heard
he's coming back.
Well, you brought up Bud on the Nolecast a while ago, mentioning that he did not expect,
but that was early on. I think that was early on.
But the rumors started early. The rumors started early that they did not expect him to come back, and the offense, to be clear, looked like shit to end the season. Because when you take out the FCS schools and the G5 teams, this offense was like 82nd in the country in points per game and yards per game. It was bad.
Yeah, but we were 133rd the year before. So
no, I get it. But when you say 133rd to 82nd, that's still not great.
Well, I know, but they put up. The offense was better. They just couldn't get the ball in the damn end zone. So I hope they're really addressing that point. Why can't we get the ball in the end zone without having to try a bunch of tricky shit that didn't work anyways? That's ridiculous. So, and short yardage stuff. That's where we've struggled in the Norvell eras.
The last thing on that point, though, is I want to bring up is that I did get a
new source.
No. I had this tweet I found from Bud. He was talking about.
And we like Bud. I think Bud's credible.
Yeah. So someone that brought up the Tallahassee Democrat was reporting that both Malzahn and Tony White were returning, which, like you said, it's gone back and forth. I didn't think Tony White was going to be gone unless he took another job, which we had talked about UCLA, but that's gone. And most of these positions are now filled. So Tony White's coming back. Deal with it. People are hoping for a new offense. Baldale replied, yeah, if you're already punting on the year by bringing back Mike Norvell, why on earth would you throw good money after bad by paying a coordinator buyouts and then giving guaranteed multiple deals to new coordinators to entice them to come there under a lame duck? Which is all true. That is a very good point. So if they're going to put 2026, and they clearly are, punting it all away by just playing the young guys to sign them to extensions early. So Yeah, so he's basically saying, yeah, if you're bringing Mike Norvell back, why would you throw money away by paying all new
Exactly.
coordinators and then paying the buyouts of your existing ones? It makes no sense.
And then if you fire Norvell during the season or after, the new guy comes in, cleans those guys out. You got to pay all their contracts.
Yeah.
Stick with the original contracts.
Yeah. And
Right?
then someone brought up that didn't Bud say that on NoCast earlier that he expected Malzahn not to return this
Maybe
this
he did.
coming
We all
season.
say stuff.
But what he said is that others on the staff are surprised that he hasn't. So that makes me infer that they thought Gus may have even been looking at other jobs, or maybe he was going to retire. So I think he's inferring that staff members on FSU are surprised that he's even still here, and that he was actually shopping for other offers himself and maybe didn't get them. What are your thoughts on that?
I'll be honest with you and our gracious viewers and subs on here. I don't know. I mean, nobody knows. Even Bud doesn't know. Nobody. I've never seen such lack of sources in a situation, and I worked in a world, and we don't need to get into that, where sources was the ball game. You know, I mean, I won't get into that, but it's like nobody knows. We don't. We give opinions, and that's what you see from most of the leading media across the country and at FSU. People who do this 24/7 and pay their mortgages by it or pay their bills. They really don't have good sources. I don't know if they don't know how to develop sources or they don't want to develop sources, but you would think that the leading FSU media types, okay, would be able to get something more out of a source inside the SIO, you know what I mean? The Sports Information Office, or be able to send in requests about, hey, can you answer this question about the rotation, and let them answer it. If you were a credentialed media, aren't they allowed to send in questions to the SIO? I mean, so. I would think so, right? I sent in a request for credentials for you and I, and this was not this year, but back in 2024 maybe. They sent me a reply, you know? So there should be, ask questions that way. If you don't want to ask them to Mike Norvell, ask the SIO, right? It's like the lady who gives the briefings for the president every day, right?
Yeah.
Whatever her name is. She's answering questions. And then you can, I don't know if people aren't asking the questions. I know during Mike Norvell stuff, they don't ask a lot. Gus Malzahn, he has 1, 2, 3 word answers, and there's really no follow-ups. They don't really drill on people. I don't want to get into that again. No. But there really is a lack of information flow. So we really never get some of these answers. So I don't know. I believe this. And when we say we believe, that's my feeling. I think Gus Malzahn is good because no announcements have come. If you're going to lose a guy like Gus Malzahn, the offensive coordinator, I think it would have been done. It would have been done. The only way he leaves is he leaves for health reasons, for family. That's it.
No, you don't think he could leave for another job? I think he.
I don't. I really don't.
Okay.
It would probably be a smaller brand than Florida State if he does, because he's shown the ability to produce some offense. We did have off. We just didn't have enough points.
You admittedly hated it.
I didn't say I hated it.
You hated all the gimmicky stuff.
I don't like the gimmicky stuff.
That's his offense, though. That's literally his offense.
I hope. I don't like that. I don't like that.
Then you hate him. Then you hate the offense.
No, I don't hate.
That's his offense.
Listen. Give me 2 seconds. What I want, and I think it's best for recruiting, is you sell the NFL model. Listen for a minute. Run an NFL model type offense and run an NFL model type defense. I'm not a big fan of this 3-man front, even though you're running 4 or 5 guys up there anyways. Kids want to play what they may play in the NFL or hope to play or dream to play. So do that. Find the quarterbacks that do that type of situation that we have in the NFL. That's it. And that's how I would recruit. I believe what Luke Laux, our men's basketball, he's saying, I'm bringing an NBA model here, and that's the kids I'm going after because that's where they want to go. So why would I run a bunch of trickery? This I don't like that piece of it. But I think Gus Malzahn's been around a lot of football. I'm not one to say he doesn't know offensive football. I didn't think his pass game was real sophisticated. Bottom line, Gus Malzahn, it would surprise me if he's not back. Now, given that, there may be guys on coaching staffs in the playoffs that they could go after. And Gus says, I'll hang in here till that happens. Yeah. And then he comes up with, because I think he's had some family illnesses and long-term medical things that could force him out. I don't know that. Nobody's told me that. That's my guess. It's what I've gotten from the media.
All right. Anything else on the coaching?
Yes. Yeah. Another new coach on the defensive side, and that's Nick Williams. And I think you've looked at Nick a little bit, haven't you? He's going to be an edge coach. He's going to school up the defensive ends, guys like James Williams and who's our other Russian Jenkins. I don't know if he's coming back. Is he done?
He should be.
Mandrell Desir plays
Jenks,
on the outside, right?
Yeah.
Mandrell plays on the outside. I believe. Desir.
Daryl, I think it's Daryl, right? Daryl's on the outside.
Mandrell or one of them. The bottom line is he's your new edge coach. He's got, I thought his background was a little bit more limited, but he's more coming in for techniques, and recruiting. He's already put out a couple of feelers on a couple of 4 or 5 star guys. And he's coached. His resume is pretty good. He had some Georgia experience with Kirby Smart's staff, I believe. So he's a young guy. He's supposed to be an aggressive guy. We'll see. But I would expect he can't do any worse than the statistics we got out of the DNs this year. So I think it'll be a refreshing change. But because I don't know, was it who was coaching the DNs? Papuchis?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think that's probably an upgrade, and that's Nick Williams.
There you go. And I think that's most of the changes most of the staff is in place then. The only other outstanding is GM. And and if Ray is going to be to UCLA, because that's the rumor right now, is that he's headed to UCLA. Which I don't
see. This is just like we were talking about a few minutes ago. We were saying, well, you come in here and the thing turns to shit. Well, Derek Ray has been here and it's been shit for what? He's been here in that position for 2 or 3 years.
Well, he got named like executive of the year after 2023. So,
and then 2024, 2025 were pure shit.
Yeah.
So, like I said, the industry, I think it's more about friendships and networking, and I really do. And I don't. How would he explain that if he went in for an interview? You know what he would say? Well, UCLA's shit. I can't do any worse. He's one of these non-visible guys. You don't know what he's done besides what we see on the field and the types of guys being brought in, right?
Yeah.
GMs are generally the guys who are finding the people to play the game, and the head coach coaches them up. So that's
they play
his
an important role for the portal and stuff like that. And if UCLA is obviously rebuilding. They got the JMU coach Bob Chesney, and they're looking for a rebuild. This position has not, the GM position has felt underwhelming since for a while.
Well, the GM position is a brand new type of thing for college football, and I think that's fertile ground for a lot of these guys. So I don't know. We'll see. But it looks like he's
lived off of he came in 2022 because he came in 2022. He came in 2022 when they came off 10-3, and then they get the 13-0 ACC title, and then the favorites pie up in 2024, 2025. They've yet to land the top 10 class. And I don't really, remember he came from Oregon State. director of recruiting operations there, on campus recruiting. Like, he really just wasn't. I mean, he never had been with a big time program. If you look at his history, I think from this article, it says he was making around only 300K at Florida State. Honestly, I think this role
only 300K.
For as important as this
would
role,
like to make 300K. Well,
for as important as this fucking role is in a university where coaches are making 12 million. For as many as Mike Norvell's making, this position should be a lot more expensive for evaluating portal and high school talent. And so they need to bring in a guy that is worth a lot more than what Ray's making right now, because it's not working. So when we talk about valuation of talents and managing the program, Mike Alford needs to go find a guy, the right guy, because he failed. And Derek probably been gone last year. I don't know why they failed to make this replacement. But
have you
look
read
at the recruiting classes?
Maybe you have a source we can get a copy of his resume. I've been reading through some of these coaches' resumes when I can find them online. Different. It doesn't have to just be FSU, but generally it is. It's funny how those things are written. If a guy turns out to be an All-American, he takes the credit for this, obviously, and he should get some credit. But when they're writing their resumes, they'll put in, we were 10th in the country in rush defense.
Yeah.
My guy was a 4th team all WAC conference. That's how you have to build. You build resumes. I haven't really been in that world too much, but yeah, you build around your successes. You don't put in your failures. You don't put, hey, we had a great season and 13-0. You don't say anything about the next 2 that were pure shit. That's just how it works, right?
I mean, he graduated college 12 years ago, and now he's GMing Florida State University.
Yeah. He's on fertile ground. He is on the frontier of this. It's like getting involved with AI, right? He's going to want guys. If I was Derek Way, any general manager, I'd want an assistant that knows AI, can do stats quick, can go through players. I think it's a developing world. It's a new frontier on that type of stuff, and he's in there.
It's not a good hire. I mean, this falls on Alford and not knowing the performance of this, because this guy lived off of 1 year after he came in, 2023, and that's what he's lived off of at Florida State.
And we don't have any insight into what this off-field staff does. We don't have any idea really what it looks like. But in the real world, in the NFL with general managers, or in baseball, in the professional leagues, those general managers hold a lot of power on who comes into that team and who leaves, either through trades or free agent signees, stuff like that, and the draft that they do over college. They hold a lot. Now, they talk with the coaches, but the GM makes the final decision for the most part. That's why head coaches in the NFL want what? They want to be both GM and head coach. That's rarely done anymore. The GM role in college football is fairly new. And over the last few years, we never had such an animal before. The head coach did it all,
Yeah.
So that's very interesting. Now, there was one comment here I wanted to run up here. Here's Dorfman. Dorfman saying Derek Ray, his home run was to get Nicholson. Nicholson.
Yeah, that home run was a double, it turned out. So
yeah, you're right about that. That's probably much. No offense to Nicholson. He tries hard, but he's not just built that way to be a great or elite college linebacker. It just doesn't show up on the tape. There was somebody asked something here. I'm scrolling through. I can't find it right now. Don't worry about it. So that right there, I think, is the biggest changes so far, and there's a lot more coming, fans. A lot more coming. There's been a lot of talk about a new quarterbacks coach. What's your feeling on that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the quarterback evaluations at Florida State under Mike Norvell have been atrocious. I mean, None of them, you can go through the recruiting of quarterbacks. It may be one of the worst I think I've ever, like in any for any university, but the quarterbacks that Mike Norvell has brought in have been, I think, the worst.
We should do a show just on quarterback
Look,
position of all the people during his time. You don't have to do it now. Don't do it now.
Duffy, none of these guys.
They
don't
all
just not
be the great. Yeah,
they don't play here. They don't play anywhere. Like that's the thing. Like these kids don't play anywhere. It's not just here when they transfer out because they definitely don't play. They just don't play. So they don't pan out anywhere, not just here. So and how once again,
and by the way, Tommy Castellanos is not coming back. He was denied his appeal.
Well, he's still appealing.
Denied.
He has other.
Well, he's
appeals,
suing now. I think he's suing.
So let's focus on quarterbacks. Once again, Tokars has skated by just like Ray on 2023 on Jordan Travis.
Everybody
and
skated
his development
by
on his development as a quarterback from 2022 to 2023 in the ACC title. That coach has lived off of that year and that quarterback and done nothing else. He's never developed, evaluated a high school quarterback. We've never been able to elevate a quarterback that way. Luke Cromont came in. He got to play a little bit, wasn't ready. He's gone to Mississippi State. He's now number 3 on Mississippi State, who's still not a good school. Once again, why are these coaches still here if they can't do their job? I don't understand, Mike. Like, why do you keep these guys around? Is Alfred saying, well, you brought them in, we're not paying them out? Okay, well, that's one thing.
It's a great question, KB. If you had the opportunity to sit down with Mike Norvell in any situation, you'd say, Mike, how do you evaluate individual coaches and their yearly performance and give them reviews? How is that done? How do you look at that? You know what I mean?
It's
a great question.
And I understand you can't fire a coach every single season, but he's been here 6 years.
Right.
And we haven't developed one quarterback out. And the top line of his bio is, Tokars has been instrumental in the progression of the quarterback.
Yeah,
that is the line in his bio on Florida State, especially developing Jordan Travis.
Yes.
But nobody else, no other quarterback is mentioned in his bio for Florida State because there is no other one. There is no other quarterback.
When you read these bios on any of these, it's very interesting how they're written.
There's literally no other quarterbacks mentioned in 6 seasons, instrumental in the progression of the quarterback room, especially Jordan Travis. If you're so instrumental, why can you only name one quarterback in 6 years? Like, there's no other one. Jordan Travis, who was selected by the New York Giants, and he's not even in the. He didn't even get to play because he got hurt. Like, he ended his career ranked in 5th. You're one guy is why Tokars is here for 6 seasons.
Buddy.
One guy.
That's what you do.
Just like Ray skating by with one guy. Like, it's crazy that Mike is keeping this guy to 2023 team. It's only from 2023 that this guy is relevant here. This is why. The reason why this team sucks is because he's keeping guys around because of one season. That's why we suck.
This is where some people
2023. Once again, it's still talking about Travis. His whole bio is Jordan Travis.
That's what I told you. Yeah. This is
Travis. It's down here too. It's still down here. This whole bio is short. Due to injuries, 5 Florida State. Oh, look, and now the excuses are in here. Due to injuries, 5 Florida State quarterbacks started between the. Oh, dude, look at this. He's making excuses in his bio.
Had you never seen these type bios before?
No.
Oh, you got to look at some of the bios. Well, this is where people were a little upset on edge coach Nick Williams' bio. Somebody was saying. In his bio, it says, I got a guy into the NFL draft 7th round. And people went, wait a minute, 7th round? Is that? We're not cutting down Nick Williams. I'm just saying, when you read some of the resumes, I don't know if it's teaching us how to write better resumes or how these coaches, they have to, and I understand. If you're the defensive edge coach and I can get Mandrell Desir to get 10 sacks, I'm going to take credit for that in my resume, right? Yeah, but nobody takes any credit in the resume if you don't get if you get 0 sacks. So I get it, it is. There was a famous coach. Some of our viewers, I want to
Look at
ask the
this.
viewers.
Look at this. Redshirt sophomore Tate Rodemaker and true freshman AJ Diffie benefited from Tokar's tutelage as
There
well.
you go. There
What
you
are
go.
we talking about? Neither of these guys are they, what are we talking about?
Do you think nobody scrutinizes this the way we are?
No, based on how long this bio is, this guy's only been coaching for what, 13 years? Look how long this bio, like, and it's all
I
fluff.
know. That wouldn't pass the normal.
He's only been coaching in G5 for 4 years, and his bio's this long.
Okay, all we're saying is this isn't just
Or G4
one.
or P4?
A lot of the bios that you read in sports coaching, they really have to. They don't have as many examples as you would like. You know what I mean?
Well, he also
So
hired
they
Mike
lean
had the
on
G5 staff. That's the issue too. He doesn't have
He
guys
did.
that
Right.
have track records, that have track records of evaluation, that guys that have been through the trenches, the guys that have had to do it on various levels of success. Just look at these two bios alone. These guys have like 10 years total of experience, but it's like not the right it's and I
Okay.
don't want to bias it, but it's
Let
just
me
like
lead you
these
into
guys
this.
don't have real
Let me
experience
lead
and
you into this.
credentials.
You were pushing at me this week the quarterback from North Florida,
West Florida.
West Florida. Okay. And I saw the number of looks he's gotten from different universities. Florida State seems to be the biggest brand on his list.
Them and JMU.
Do you think he's going to end up here? But is he going to end up in this category again of all these quarterbacks as just a total bust?
I think they're looking at him and
As a quality backup or as a starter?
them and this kid, Colton Joseph from ODU. I think this kid is probably the more attractive guy because of his legs. 1,600 yards.
Well, if you're with Gus Malzahn, yeah, you got to have some legs.
So, and that's what I'm hearing. It's West Florida. They've obviously, I think, offered the kid from West Florida, and like you said, JMU and us are his biggest
Look
offers.
at Dorfman. Go easy, guys. Everyone pads their CV.
That's
which
true.
Is
That
resume, which is
Dorfman,
short for resume. Curriculum vitae. You know,
Mark, that's true. That is true. You got a good point there. Point there.
You pad it as far as you can so it doesn't leap into this is a total lie. Okay?
That is
true.
true.
You know who was a famous coach? I don't know. You may not know this. Well, let me just tell this quick story. There was a famous coach at Georgia Tech, and if anybody out there is listening knows this, George O'Leary. They're all Googling it now. AI. George O'Leary was an Irish guy. O'Leary, right? O'Leary's bar. George O'Leary, great coach at Georgia Tech. He's doing great down there. If you look up his history, he gets the nod. The new job he gets, Notre Dame. Back in the heyday. Their coach, I forget who left. He comes in. He takes the Notre Dame job. I think he was the shortest tenured coach at Notre Dame. He was gone in 7 days.
I remember
because his CV, curriculum vitae, or resume, Mark, it was proven to be false. That he put on that he was a letterman at the University of Maine or some shit like this. And then he claimed, no, that was an error. And then people said, well, that's been on your thing for like 10 years or some shit.
Yeah.
And guess what? They forced him to resign. And then he finally, after, serving in the doghouse, he got the job, I believe, at UCF, that started the UCF program.
Yeah.
I could be wrong there. George O'Leary. You want to read an interesting story about resumes because nobody looks at this shit anymore. They just take it for granted, But that's funny. You reading that was great, and that's no rip on Ray. It goes on all over the place.
No, I rip on it because I think Florida State should do better based on the performance we've seen so far. Because when you look at the bios and you look at the performance, it doesn't match up. And if you don't perform, it's on. You got to get rid of guys, right? Like,
it's accountability. It's about accountability.
I mean, guys are living off of 2 years ago, and living off of in 6 years, you have one quarterback that's gone to the draft. What are we doing, guys? Like, what are we doing?
Right.
You got to move forward. But back to, like you talked about, the quarterback evaluation.
Well, that's
and who's
another
gonna be the
thing,
next
though.
quarterback.
But that's another thing. If you're not sending quarterbacks to the NFL, who the hell wants to come here and play quarterback?
Yeah.
Right.
And so you talked about the kid from West Florida. No, you're right.
Yeah.
And
what do you think? What do you think's going to happen?
So this
there?
is the graphic.
Yeah.
So Florida State has reached out to this kid from West Florida. He was a finalist for the D2 Heisman. You saw what Ole Miss did with their D2 guy this year. They're in the playoffs.
They did. They did.
Now,
they did.
Does Florida State develop quarterbacks as well as Ole Miss does? No, they have not recently. But you said
Bring
the
back
logo.
Chris Wenke as the quarterback coach. He's more suited to go OC someplace. So
You called out the logos on this list.
yeah,
The biggest one is you see a couple.
Iowa.
SEC,
I see
Syracuse,
in that Iowa.
Yep, Syracuse, West Virginia,
Iowa,
JMU.
Northwestern.
So you do see some bigger logos on here. Not you see a lot of smaller
But
logos.
since
BC,
he's just down the road in the Panhandle, his whole family can come over and watch him.
6'2", 3,600 yards, 40 TDs this year.
The question is, they've probably watched tape on this guy. They offered him. They must like what they see. You're not going to offer a guy just to offer the guy unless they want to try to bring him in as a backup, right? But I don't think he wants that. Hell, I'd go to a smaller school like Liberty. And did you see how much they pay the head coach at Liberty? It's like $8 million.
They've been good. They it's the playoff. I think over
It's
year two, almost like the
crazy.
playoff.
But
this kid
wants to play.
This kid has 2 more years left, I believe, of eligibility. Now he's ranked right now in the portal as like 266. He's ranked like the 15th or 20th best quarterback available. The other kid that jumped in is the kid from ODU, that Colton Joseph. He's also a more mobile quarterback, 6'2". They're like comparable, but he obviously ODU plays at the FBS level.
And the guy at what is it, North Florida?
West Florida. Jesus.
Okay.
West.
Well, nobody's heard of this school. Who have they played?
Well,
he's put up like 10,000 yards and 80 touchdowns.
But once again,
but
what if Ole Miss
who the
said
hell
that? What
has
if
he
Ole Miss said
played?
that? What if Ole Miss said that?
Well,
and they didn't bring that kid in. A kid can either play or he can't. That's what it's all about, evaluation. That's what the evaluation's about, isn't it? Right? A kid can either play or he can't.
I want the fans out there on here tonight. Tell me the best, toughest school he's played against. Put it in the comments, please, and I'll put it up.
Now, when you look at the ODU kids' stats, I get a kind of concerned because people like this kid, sophomore, he'll have 2 years. The interception ratio is not great. So they played Indiana this year.
He's a gunslinger.
They played Indiana.
They played Indiana?
Yep,
West Florida? Oh, no,
Jesus
you're
Christ.
talking about Colton.
ODU. God.
Okay.
He
ODU
struggled.
plays. Oh, okay.
He struggled.
Well,
50%, 96 yards.
it.
But he ran for 179 yards against them for 2 TDs. So it shows his mobility. They lost by 13. Not too bad on the road against the number 1 team in the country. Played VT. 16 of 22, 276, 2 touchdowns, ran for 63 yards and touchdown. Pretty good. Average ACC opponent. They beat them. We beat them. Sort of the same score.
Is Norvell and Gus going to hang 20-26 on this guy? Oh,
what do you mean hang
man.
26 on this guy? What do you mean by that?
Are they going to hang their legacy of?
They hung it on Tommy Castellanos, who's not a great
Tommy
thrower.
had played a lot more D1 football than this guy. This guy hasn't played any
once again,
D1 football.
This guy is D1. ODU's
No,
D1.
I'm
What the hell are you
talking about the
talking about?
West Florida guy.
Why are we jumping? I'm talking about this guy, the guy that's on
Okay.
the screen right now.
Okay,
That's what we're
okay.
talking about. So do you not want either of these guys? Like, we have to start deciding who are we going to go forward with, or are we going with the true freshman that Kevin Sperry? Do you not want to go to the portal?
No, they're going to go after someone bigger than any of these guys.
This is
They
the
got
number
to.
3 quarterback right now in the portal right now.
Well,
Colton
there's
Joseph
more.
is the number
There's
3.
more players to come once the playoffs are over, as well as other quarterbacks going to jump in.
Why is a portal quarterback who's starting in the playoffs going to want to jump in the portal and come to Florida State?
Money.
You think Florida State's going to be throwing
Yes.
$15 million at a playoff quarterback?
Their biggest money bag will go to a quarterback.
No, it won't. It won't. It won't. That's why they went after Tommy, because he was cheap.
Hey, if you're very direct with your comments, you're going to end up like Bud Elliott. People are going to jump all over you. They're going to say, "You said KB."
They're not going to get Sam Levitt. They're not like they're that's
Yeah, Sam Levitt. How about is the Georgia Tech guy gone? Is he Haynes King? Is he gone?
I don't know. He's not leaving if he's there, but I wouldn't.
Champs. Here's Champs goes. Nobody's throwing 15 mil at any quarterback.
Well, yeah, you'd be surprised with these private equity deals or these if Saudi money comes involved.
Okay,
you'll
well,
be
this
surprised.
is where here EDD, the West Florida kid was a blue chip 4-star recruit.
Yes.
Okay, and we're not going to get into the reason why. There was an off-field type situation, and we don't have any information on. We're not going to get into that. But he apparently had to. Florida said no, we're cutting back on you, and he had to go to D2. No one else in D1 would touch him. So, did he play in? He must have played in Florida.
Yeah, he played in Florida.
How long's he been at West Florida?
2 years.
2 years.
I believe.
Huh?
I think he
Okay.
jumped from a JUCO to there, and yeah, he's 2 years.
Okay. Yeah, I was
He
thinking
played at
more.
Ponte Verde Beach and Nice High School.
Okay. All right. Yeah, they offered him. So if they offered
No,
him,
they talked to him. I don't know if they've
Okay.
offered him.
no, they did offer him. They did. You saw it on the thing there. Florida State was on there.
It said
right?
they've been in contact with him. It doesn't mean they've
Oh,
offered him.
I thought they had offered him. Okay, my fault.
no.
My fault. But come what? Come January 2nd, we're going to see some names flying around.
Yeah.
I guarantee you. But you
Yeah.
can't tell me of how many teams? 12 teams in the playoffs? 12 teams? There aren't some quarterbacks on there, starters, that aren't going to get into the portal. You know they are.
But Florida
You
State's
know
not
that.
going to be. You've already pointed out Florida State needs to redo their offensive line. You can't spend $2 or
No,
$3 million on
I-
a
no,
quarterback when you need
they-
to rebuild your entire offensive
They
line.
need to get a guy, a
That makes no
proven
sense.
guy, for about 1.5 mil. And then they'll have plenty
That's
of
too
other
much.
money.
It's too much.
Well, then they're going to get another Tommy then. You know what I mean?
I don't.
Well, they're gonna get the
It would
West
make
Florida
no
kid to,
sense
like,
why someone's going to want to
250.
leave Oregon or Ohio State for Florida State. Those guys can pay them. All these schools in the playoffs can pay more than Florida
Yeah.
State. Or
Well,
equivalent.
generally, who's in the portal? Guys who are not playing enough and want to go find a place to play. So you're right.
And you're
They're
going to
not
risk your
pay them out.
you're not going to pay for a guy that's not playing, and the starters at those schools can already get the same amount of money and not going to leave because they're already a starter.
Did
so
you
you have to
see-
go for a kid like this.
Did you see the UCF guy went into the portal? Is going to go into the portal, quarterback.
Ja'Cory Brown, the
Yeah.
Miami guy, the former Miami guy?
Yeah.
No,
Look.
no.
Hey, I'm seeing a lot of UCF on my paper over here. A lot of connections.
Not touching that. It's not very good. Not very good.
He's going in.
Yeah, good. He can go in. Good luck.
That'll
Good
be
luck.
very interesting.
Good
Hey,
luck.
listen to a Dagby. Dagby. University of West Florida in the woods in Pensacola.
I'm telling
Hey,
you,
Coach JB should go there and coach, man. Hey, do you think we should bring in Coach JB?
yeah, no,
I assume everybody knows who Coach JB is.
don't
I
know.
think he's like crypto, man. They can't touch that guy. He's
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So, and if you're interested and you talked about results for West Florida, this is who they played this year.
Yeah, so let's see. Blow it up. Let's see. Who did they play? Lenore Rhine. That's in North Carolina. Oh my God. Is this year or next year?
This is this year. This is this past year.
How many games did they win? Kentucky Wesleyan. Shorter. God. North Greenville, Northeastern State, Cowan, West Alabama, West Virginia State, Delta State, Valdosta State. They lost
Lost to them.
for 3
Me too.
points field goal.
They
North
lost to them.
Greenville and Newberry. Not good, man.
Probably pulled the
Passes.
tape. You probably pulled the tape though.
I would
Watch
pro-
those highlights.
You know what? I'd throw a little bit of money at him. It'd be very low and say, come in and compete. If not, you could compete as a backup.
That's
you
what I
think
would
he's
say.
better? You think he's better than the guys we got now as quarterbacks?
I would want to find
don't
out.
know.
I would want to
I
find
don't-
out.
I don't know.
Either
Man.
this or ODU kid.
We
The
don't
ODU
have
kid
time
scares
to
me
fool around.
because he's got some interceptions issues, and that scares me. And I don't believe our quarterback coach
Against
can-
Cowan and Valdosta State. That's up by you in Maryland, Valdosta State. You could have gone and looked at the guy. What the hell are you
No,
doing
this
up
is
there?
in Pensacola. The game was in Pensacola.
Oh, it was? Yeah, I could have gone, I guess.
Yeah.
You didn't tell me about it.
Yeah. But
Crazy, look, crazy clown coach JB. He people, if you want to hear a fiery JB this morning, put his episode up from this morning. Just listen to the first 30 seconds. He ain't going to be coaching anywhere anymore.
But in the chat, tell us if there's anyone you guys want us to look at next show. Any quarterbacks I am interested in if you guys think we should stick with Sperry, or there's any quarterbacks you want us to evaluate and talk about next show. So
I
put
wonder
those
how
in the chat.
Sperry. I wish, we send out invites to different people that I say you get welcome to come on. Most don't respond.
I'm not talking about come on the show. I'm talking about who they want us to look at in terms of evaluations and talk about.
I think people want to see Sperry, but is he going to be another one of these guys that we
so,
always had high hopes for? And
so it is confirmed. Ray is leaving for UCLA. This is confirmed.
That's official from Florida State.
Thank the head. Well, it's official from 24/7. It looks like.
Yeah.
So I think this is a good move. It's a he's leaving, so we don't have to buy him out essentially. And he may be, I don't know if he has a buyout part of his, he has to pay us because he's leaving, but this is it was a weighted out kind of deal for Florida State. So
no buyout. Yeah.
But he may have to pay to get out of his contract. So I think
I
this
thought
is good
I
for Florida
heard
State.
there was a guy from the Jacksonville Jaguars who was interested to come to Florida State. I don't remember the story. I read a lot of stories. It's coming as a GM.
I've seen people talk about who you're talking about, I believe.
I can't remember his name. That's okay. You don't have to worry about it.
No,
don't worry about it. If it's okay with him gone now, I'm sure Alford has somebody in mind, right?
Oh, he's
got a hell of a network. Alford knows everybody, whether that's good or bad.
If he doesn't have someone in mind, it's negligence. He should have. Got to have somebody in mind.
How about maybe you could go and be the GM? I could be head of scouting.
No, that would be terrible too. No.
You know what? Let me say this. Anybody they bring in as head coach or front office people should be able to win 6 games. You're Florida State, okay? You're Florida State. You should be able to win 6 games and go to the Pop-Tart Bowl, okay? You shouldn't have to be turning down bowls at 5 and 7. It's ridiculous that they even consider teams like that.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, okay.
There was I mean, it'll be interesting. There once again every week there's going to be a lot of updates and a lot of changes, especially and then when we get to January, it's going to get even worse.
Yeah, it's just starting. Hey, before we end tonight, unless you got something, let me go through a couple of things. And first of all, some high regards and awards out to Deuce Robinson and Luke Pettibone, our center, and Deuce Robinson, a wide receiver, both gone from this team. Probably Deuce, if he comes back, I don't understand why, unless they really give him a big bag of money. AP first team all ACC performers. So all ACC. So that's really good. Those guys, and I thought Luke was really a good solid center. He was always there. He was always out there.
Yeah.
And I thought they did a great job.
Yep.
Remember, portal window January 2nd through the 16th. The other shout outs I want to give is, again, women's soccer. We talked about that at the end of the last program. They beat Stanford 1-0. They won another national championship. And who is it? Brian Penske is their coach. The guy's amazing. Amazing. And they should open up the bag for those ladies and for their facilities and see what he needs. Alford should sit down, have coffee with him and say, what do you need? What do you need besides what you got? That guy, they're grinding it out, man. They know how to evaluate talent. They go worldwide looking for ladies, and they're tough. They're tough. Now they lost one of their assistant coaches. He just took a job at another school. I can't remember. It was a decent sized school. Here's my question: why the hell do you have a national championship soccer match in Kansas City in the middle of December, and it's winter as hell, and nobody shows up, and they're all cold as hell? Why do you do that? Who puts that shit together? The NCAA?
Why does the ACC have the championship in Charlotte when it's terrible city and cold? I don't know.
It's not fair to fans. It's not fair to the players. It makes no sense to put it in the middle of Kansas City, winter conditions, and there was hardly anybody there, which is sick and sad. And whoever organizes that, they probably put the bids out to the cities.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. It has to be an inside arena, if nothing else. Okay, I feel better saying that. Don't forget about Luke Laux and the men's basketball team. Their last loss was to Houston, but it was only by 15 points. The two other previous losses, because they've lost 3 in a row, were to quality teams.
Okay, you've said
no wait,
this all
and they got
Monday.
beat by
You've
30
said
or
this all
40 points.
Monday.
So I think we're getting a little something there. No. I know a lot of people don't care about basketball, but I'm trying to. So they did. Wait a minute. Here's a rebuilding thing. They out rebounded Houston 37-35, and Houston's number 8 in the country. So go. Let's keep striving. Okay.
All right. Back to your point. You brought up the GM search and the Rams guy. I found what you were referencing.
Okay.
Yeah, you said
no Jaguars.
Oh, you're right. Jaguars. It was Jaguars.
Right.
So Clay Fink talked about this. It was Brian Sanders. And this is the guy that could be a leading candidate.
Oh, yeah.
So as he pointed out, former FSU linebacker, 32 years of NFL experience, executive experience. He was with the Jaguars 2025, scouted linebackers for the Rams when they drafted Jared Verse. Broncos GM, 6 Pro Bowlers while he was with the Denver. And so multiple guys have quoted this in terms of this could be on their hot board. So it would be interesting if they could get this guy back. Obviously, I think he'll want to make more than $300K. But
yeah, probably.
But this it's the price. Like I said, I think they need to invest if they're going to get the right guy. And this is a guy. Compare.
He looks like
resume,
he looks like a guy who would come in and kick ass, man.
Compare that resume to Ray's and the talent evaluation of what this guy brings to what Ray has on his resume. I think it's night and day. And this is what they probably should have had 3 or 4 years ago. Regardless of an ACC title, this is what you need to see. This is a guy that who's seen it, what it takes to get to the next level, and what it takes to win games. What an NFL body looks like, what the mentality looks like, and can just see it through the movement, see it on tape, even if it's across the country. This would be a home run hire if they can convince this guy. But it's going to take the money. You're going to have to take the money, but I think Florida State's got the facilities, they got the technology. They just need to put the right offer around this guy. And
I think you're right. I think you said all the right words. We're learning as we go on this GM role. I think he's going to want some good power, and I think he's going to want some power that he has over bringing in people that he may disagree with the head coach on, Norvell. And Norvell shouldn't have the last word. If you look up how general managers are, they have a lot of power over the personnel in the system and the office. Okay, they are a powerful position. They bring in the players, they give them to the head coaches, and say, go to work, right? And so to me, those are the interesting things about how the structure works. What's the process? We have no idea at Florida State because the questions aren't asked. We're not getting any information from anybody. Am I wrong? If I'm wrong, I wish somebody would say, no, you're just missing it, old man. You're missing the articles and all that it's all laid out by the SIO's office. I don't think so. I don't think I'm wrong. And maybe it's always going to be that way. It's like the contracts. We don't know what players on this team, how much they made last year. And that's okay. I get that. Non-disclosure of money. I get that. I'm not asking for that. but the NFL has more disclosure and visibility on some of their contracting details than college does. Why is that? I don't get that. They must have non-disclosure because they have better sources. There's better sources that they've developed. And we can't say that. And we certainly can't say that. But I like that of what is going on behind the scenes. We have no clue. And when I did, remember that one show, I listed all the off-field positions. It was horrendous how many people are being paid. You go, what are these guys doing? You know?
Yeah.
And I get it's a busy operation. Let's not take that for granted. The general manager is going to have a lot of responsibilities on his plate. From the minute they pick up parents and a kid they're trying to recruit, laying out the carpet, taking them around. I mean, they got a lot of people doing that for him. Don't get me wrong. But it's got to be organized. There can't be any misses in that stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, they need to seriously get going on this stuff, because 2 January, player personnel are going to be out there, so it's going to be very interesting, as you said.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I think there's so much to go over, but I think the last thing I'll bring up, because it's already been a long show, is should Florida State, going back to quarterbacks, this guy I think is going to test the waters, is Michigan's prize freshman. Had a pretty
Underwood.
good season this year as a true freshman. They threw him right. They paid him a big deal. It was in this offseason. They signed him to the contract, brought him in, had a decent season. 9-6, 2,200 yards. Obviously, he got banged up, but his QBR was almost top 25. Is this a kid, if he makes himself available, do you throw a bag at him and try to lock him up?
And how many years has he got left?
He's got 3 more years. Yeah, he was a true freshman.
Is this, yeah.
Do you go all in?
Does he have legs?
Yeah, he's got legs. I mean, 114 yards against Central Michigan.
Yeah, he can run. He can get that 5 yards, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's at Michigan. They don't bring in slouches.
No,
the problem
is 5-star kid.
His hometown is Detroit, so that's his backyard. Is he going to want to come to Florida? He might like the weather. It's a hell of a lot better than it is in Michigan. Yeah, that's a very interesting thought there. Very interesting thought. They had a 9-3 season, right? Was he the starter?
He was a starter, yeah.
And he went 9-3.
Yeah.
Okay, how did he do against Indiana? Did they play Indiana?
No, they played Ohio State. He was 8 of 18. Didn't play great. He got sacked a lot, 17 times this year.
He didn't have a good game against Michigan State, but they won.
Oklahoma, he was 9 of 24.
But
he was a true freshman. He was a true freshman.
Yeah, it looks like he can throw the ball, and he looks like he can hand it off when necessary. They beat Michigan State, and they only had 86-yard passing, so they must have had a decent rushing offense.
Yeah, they did, and they had a decent defense.
They beat Wisconsin. They beat Nebraska. Yeah. I'm going to go after a guy like this, Underwood, than I would the West Florida guy.
That would be interesting in the chat.
It's not even close.
Are you guys
not even close.
Would you guys, if he makes himself available and says, I'll come to Florida State, or I'll visit Florida State, would you guys rather go after a kid like this than go after the kid at West Florida ODU? Even if it's half the money, would you want to say go all in and get 2 or 3 years out of Bryce Underwood because he was a 5-star kid with a lot of upside?
I would go after Underwood.
The numbers don't scream at you. These numbers don't scream at you, but it was a true freshman player.
But you know what? The numbers we have in the quarterback room right now, there are none. There are no numbers.
But I don't necessarily trust our quarterback coach either to develop this kid. That's the only thing. I don't want to spend $1 million on a quarterback with high upside if I don't think you can develop him.
If any quarterback like Underwood doesn't believe in the quarterback coach, he ain't coming.
Exactly. And that's what scares me, is that you need a quarterback coach who has a legacy to him or has a track record of sending guys to the next level. When they see Tart, it's like, no. Oh, it's just Jordan Travis for 5 paragraphs. I'm like, that, no offense, but that's not selling kids any. Really.
I think he is, like I said, you're going to have to pay him some money. I think just based on his potential ceiling, that Yeah, 15 million. That's not even realistic. He's not going to. That's just a joke.
His contract with
That's
Michigan
not
was
$15 million.
it was what was his contract with Michigan? Because he
It
did
says
sign.
this guy says Ed, back that up with some evidence. Send us what we so you got to send us something under
So no,
highest
so
paid quarterback. I
his
thought that was Manning.
no, his amount was reportedly between $10 and $12 million over 4 years.
Wow, are you serious?
Yep.
Hey Ed, maybe you're right, baby.
Yep. So
maybe
an annual valuation of $3
right.
million for the
We're not going to do
season.
that. We're not going to do that.
So you're not going to pay him $3 million for the season.
Oh, 3 mil for the season?
So I guess
I would
between
do 3
$10 and
mil.
$12 million over 4 years.
I would give him a low base, maybe let's say 2 million with a lot of incentives. Yeah, he won 9 games. He directed and he stayed healthy, right?
Yeah, I mean his stats though don't scream at you though.
No, but
I
he
mean,
won games. He won games. The problem is he has pretty good
game
guys
manager.
around him. Huh?
So you're paying for a game manager.
Yeah, I'm playing for a guy who can win games. Right? He's not no quarterback can win games by himself.
Yeah.
We got to put the other pieces in there.
Yeah.
But I'd like to see Florida State, really going more incentive-laden contracts. Much
Chad,
like
are you guys paying $2 million for Bryce Underwood a year? Is that are we okay with $2 million a year? That I mean, it would show me that Florida State's serious. If they go after Bryce and if he makes himself available and they're saying we'll throw $2 million at you per year with incentives, I mean that would show me Florida State's serious about winning again. But
did he say he's going to the portal? Well, I guess we'll find out January.
So
2nd.
it was reported that his contract does not include a buyout and that they're paying close attention to who the next hire will be. Because I mean, this is a guy that signed with Michigan for that coach essentially. And if they don't, if they bring a guy that doesn't fit what he wants, he's got to make himself available potentially, right? So the next head coach for them, if it's just some assistant or some no name, then yeah, I mean, I would say he's probably on the market because he's got to be looking at his development, his future, obviously. Right?
Is Michigan going to a bowl game?
I don't know if they opted out. Yeah, they are. They're playing against.
I don't think Underwood's going to play. A lot of guys are already opting out of bowl games. They're already starting that. A lot of starters are opting out. I don't blame them. I'm all for opting out.
They're playing Texas.
If he plays, I would. Well, I don't know. He could play to try to push his numbers up.
If they don't have a head coach, I would not play.
I would not do it.
No.
Why would you risk injury? No way. No
As a true
way.
freshman, that would be if he. I mean, I think by then you'll know if he's entered the portal or not. I mean, that's in 17-ish days, 19 days. I think by then you'll know if he entered the portal. If they haven't made a head coach hire by then, that's concerning. But I think by then you'll know if he's entering the portal or not.
If the right coach comes in, he'll probably stay. He's getting plenty of money.
I think it's 50-50. I think it's
getting plenty of money.
But with no buyout, he doesn't have to give any money. Like he doesn't have to pay to leave. So,
but this is the best so far of the people we've been talking about.
He would be number one.
This is the guy I'd go after.
Him or Sam Levitt. Him or Sam Levitt would be number one.
But you got to put some pieces around him. Michigan has pieces to put around him. I don't know what pieces we have to put around him right now.
But he could attract pieces. That's the thing. If you get a king piece on a chessboard, then you can other guys will want to play around him. So that does help. If you invest, you'll get guys that are attracted to that investment. So
yeah.
All right, cool. You want to leave it at that? I think next show.
You didn't want me to go on with basketball.
No. There's a lot of stuff I have bookmarked that we'll save for next show. I got stuff around some of this private equity stuff I want to discuss next show with Utah.
Oh, yeah.
I got some more.
Did you understand it?
I do, and I have a lot of. I don't think it's good for Utah. Honestly, I do not think it's a good idea.
You don't think that's the future of some programs?
I think it's the future, but I think it's a bad idea.
Did you know Florida State was playing around with that private equity?
And we'll discuss it next show. Let's have our arguments for that. And I'll have some new I have some bookmark targets I think Florida State should go after, some more running backs, stuff like that. So yeah, join us for that show. Like, subscribe if you haven't, so you get notifications of that. We appreciate the discussions, guys. We appreciate the comments,
let me say this. If you're watching and not watching, Bucks 7, Falcons 7, big game for the Bucks. They've lost like 4 in a row, so they're just hanging on. They've got a lot of injuries. But listen, let me say this. Really great. A lot of people in here tonight. We appreciate you guys so much. Yeah, we're a little bit different brand. We have fun doing it. You know, we don't claim to be experts. We do it for your fun and entertainment and knowledge, and we learn from each other. And it's a lot of fun for us. So we appreciate you guys very much. And it's going to be busy. So look, please hit that. You got to hit the subscribe thing and hit the bell. And then that way you'll know when we're coming on. And we try to give you notifications of that.
Yeah. We appreciate you guys. And Tony and Ray, we're sorry we were critical tonight. We just want Florida State to win. So we hope
listen,
you guys
I'm going to get on the phone. I'm going to get on the phone to them right now in my phone. Anybody ever had one of these? Look at this little bad boy.
And Dorfman, that was a good call on the resume. We all do it. We all do it. So you're right about the bios and the resumes being a little.
Hey, just don't do it like George O'Leary did. Okay.
All right, guys. Have a great night. If we don't talk, have a great weekend, and we will see you soon. Stay safe out there, and as always, go Noles. Go Noles. Take care, everyone. See ya.
Seminole sideline 365. Feel the roar, we're coming alive. Garnet and gold in the battle we thrive. This is our house where legends arrive. Every yard we take, it's blood.